let's go ahead and start. So I'm happy to introduce Dr. Gabriella Arellano, who is a cybersecurity faculty at Sitting Bull College. And she is with us today to talk about her study on Native American women in faculty positions at tribal colleges. An interesting study, and I just have to give a little more background, and that is Gabriella and I were attending a meeting. It was the Level Up meeting that was held in Boston just a few months ago, and Gabriella was talking about her study, which was just so interesting that we thought it would be great to share with the Commanded community. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Gabriella Arellano.
Well, hi, everybody. It's so nice to meet you. It's so nice to be here to share my research. I'm very passionate about this topic, and I do want to share kind of how I came to research this topic. So, I've worked at a tribal college. I've worked on the reservation a little over 7 years, and if anyone has gone in to get their doctorate or a master's degree and you have to think about a thesis or a topic, I spent hours and hours thinking about something that, because my professors would always talk about, you're going to spend a lot of time writing and researching something. So make sure that you invest it in something that is important to you and that matters. And so I spent a lot of months pondering what I wanted to research. And I made the observation that, there weren't a lot of Native American women faculty working at many tribal college institutions that I would visit, or conferences that I would attend. It's just something that seemed out of the norm to me, given that I worked at a tribal college. So I decided to look into this topic a little bit more, and that's kind of how I came about it. And the few Native women faculty that I did come across and I did know were just so the conversations that we would have were just so important. And that's kind of how I came to research, and that's how my study came about. And then a little bit of background about myself. I was born and raised in Orange, California, and I moved to North Dakota 8 years ago. So it's been 8 years. It was 8 years in January, and California and North Dakota are very different. And so just a lot of different, the weather is very different. It's very cold here in the wintertime. California, it doesn't snow. And so, just very different. And you learn a lot of different things about education, which is my passion. I'm very solution oriented and driven, and I'm always asking questions. I'm always wanting to learn more. As much as I teach my students, I also learn from my students. And so this study was something that was very close to my heart, and I'm very happy to share it today. So I just want to make sure it allows me to share my screen, and it does. Go. Everybody see?
Yes.
Is it big on your end? Can you see the entire thing? Excellent. Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect. Actually, let me see if I can do that. Okay, so the name of my study that I conducted is called Native American Women in Faculty Positions at Tribal Colleges in the state of North Dakota. And so what I did was, when I did this presentation originally, now I did cut some sections out so I can keep us within an hour, but I broke it up based on chapters. So I'm going to do a brief introduction about the study. I skipped the literature review and all the research I did. I think I have one slide I kept in there to talk about that, and then kind of the methodology behind the study, what I found, and then some recommendations that I did based on the literature. So chapter 1, after doing some investigating, calling different institutions, it was very clear that Native American women are underrepresented in faculty positions at tribal colleges in the state of North Dakota. And a little bit of history, there are 5 tribal colleges in North Dakota, and the average percentage of Native American women holding faculty positions is extremely low. And so getting in contact and getting all of the numbers and calculating the average population, if you look on the far left, you can see all of the different tribal colleges that we have in the state, and then the percentage of Native student population. So the average percentage of Native students attending these tribal schools is 87%, or was during the time of this study in 2000, when I connect 2001 to 2002, and then and published in 2002. So women that made up of the student population was 61%. So 61% of tribal college institution students were women, and then Native women in faculty positions only made up 23% of all of the faculty at all of the institutions combined, which I thought was vastly low when you're comparing them to the other averages. So the purpose was to understand why are Native women underrepresented at tribal colleges, and then to learn best practices to expand the number of Native women attaining faculty careers at these institutions, particularly in understanding some of their shared experiences as Native faculty in higher education, and then how to apply these findings to increase the number of Native women in higher ed. So I conducted a phenomenologically informed study, qualitative research design, that I collected and analyzed data on 6 different Native American women across the state of North Dakota that were in faculty positions. And I drew on their shared experiences when conducting the study. And so the themes that I collected and extracted from their shared experiences, I gathered, analyzed, and concluded into the findings that I'll share kind of towards the end. So a little bit of statistics. So all the names are changed to protect the identities of all of the women that I interviewed. But there are some similar degrees as to what the women had attained for this study, and their highest level of education that they had, if they attended a tribal college, if they grew up on the reservation in North Dakota, if they attended a K through 12 school on the reservation, and then the number of years that they've taught in higher ed. So here's just a basic kind of overview of the participants. So the first research question that I had, and kind of that emerged while conducting the research, was the impact of non-Native educators' implicit bias, which was kind of a key factor that continued to emerge in every interview that I conducted. So a few of the participants in the study expressed feelings of neglect as Native students. They experienced feeling neglected, not receiving adequate help to understand financial aid from instructors, feeling that non-Native instructors did not understand them as Native people, experiencing negative racial encounters where individuals were surprised that they spoke English, witnessing disrespect towards Native instructors from non-Native students, and a few participants were brought to tears when describing their experiences when racist remarks were made towards them in school. In addition, there were consequences of experiencing implicit racial bias that led a few participants to want to drop out of school. A few participants did return to school years later, but a few did drop out. Some did, some did not. There was also racial bias experiences that led participants to seek knowledge about racial assumptions made towards them. There were negative experiences in education that led them to dive deeper into learning more about the past and becoming more aware of who they are as Native women. And then a few of the women only wanted to attend tribal college where they felt safe to be themselves and embrace their Native culture. Another major theme was a sense, I kept, through all these interviews, this word came up, or a sense of feeling alone, a majority of the interviews. A lot of the women said that there was a culture shock at times being off the res. Those that attended non-tribal institutions could not fully relate to their non-Native peers, nor at times to their Native peers, leading to a sense of aloneness. Some were called names like white girl when being Native due to attending non-Native institutions. So it was kind of the experiences weren't favorable in either situation at times. They expressed a feeling of aloneness, led to much introspection of their internal identity being Native. And this feeling also led many of the participants to seek out a support system and others in similar situations, which made this transition and experience more bearable at times. Another major theme was valuing tribal college as faculty members. So all participants lit up and favored tribal college over non-tribal colleges. Tribal colleges were a source of positivity, consisting of inclusiveness compared to non-tribal college experiences that the participants in the study described as loneliness. They prefer to teach at tribal colleges due to the native inclusivity provided by the college as well.
Oh, and
Yes,
Gabriella, if
yep,
you could go back 2 slides just real
yes,
quick.
yep.
Um, in terms of the seeking out a support system, can you elaborate a little bit more on what were some of the support systems
A
that
lot,
that were found?
absolutely.
Yes.
Yep, a lot of it actually was instructors, um, family members, friends, mainly family members, elders in the community. Yeah, when I probed that question a little bit further, though, that was me, or seeking out and creating support systems, which I do mention a little bit later.
Okay.
That was a strength for a lot of the participants as well. And building a support if they didn't have a support system, especially at home, if there wasn't support, or if there was some participants did have support, others didn't. Um, yeah, does that answer your question? And I do talk about it a little bit later in the upcoming slides.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. That
Yeah,
does.
and yep, and there was also institutional support as well, and I believe there's a slide on that too.
Okay.
I might have taken it out, but if not, remind me at the end, because there was various institutional departments and support, but I'm pretty sure I kept it in here.
Okay.
Yeah. So valuing tribal college as faculty members. So all participants, again, favored tribal colleges over non-tribal institutions. I think I shared that. Career. So the career inspiration, a lot of similarities where that participants felt inspired to pursue a career in tribal education, and it resulted from their experiences with learning, teaching, and helping Native students, wanting to share their experiences and knowledge to produce more Natives in education and in the community was a shared experience. Educator ethnicity. So very few participants experienced having Native women educators in primary, secondary, and post-secondary school. Of the participants that did experience having Native educators, all stated that these were their favorite teachers in school. A majority of the participants stated that due to their level of understanding of the Native culture. The participants' perspective was that Native educators had similar experiences on the reservation, which would have made it much easier to relate to. The shared experience with the lack of Native faculty and how this shaped their trajectory in various areas included challenges with feelings of aloneness when attending college with minimal Native presence. Family support. So now into the support section. Although prior findings on Native students, a lot of the research that I did found that there was a need for family support. But this study also found, or an emerging theme was that building family support network was helpful, and not all of those members were family, but it was more so considered family, and career journeys, which in their school and in their career journeys, which was not apparent in prior studies on Native women based on the research. And then the participants emphasized building your own family support with people who support you, especially those that or who do not have the support of your blood relatives. So that was a strongly suggested from those that did not have that support system behind them, is building your support system. Does that kind of answer the question? That was a
Yeah.
big theme. Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
that was a
That
very
helps.
popular theme, very passionate theme, um,
Right.
very important
One,
theme.
actually, can we go back there for 1 minute? So, especially with the family support, um, and that is the family support was local, correct? So, in that sense, you're going to tribal colleges, but it's also close to where you have family as well.
Right.
Yes.
Yep, exactly. And
Okay.
and for those that did not have that support, a lot of them found that support at their tribal institution. It's tribal schools are known as the heart of the community. And so having the school there and people that are there that you see every day, that was a big deal in tribal school specifically.
Okay. Thank you.
Positive working relationships with coworkers. So there was a strong positive correlation pertaining to working relationships with coworkers, a shared understanding of creating that joyful atmosphere for Native students and faculty. The women described it as relaxed and welcoming, which is why many had chosen to stay in their workplace for many years. Perception of not being valued in the workplace. So again, this is another emerging theme that came out, was most of the participants expressed a need for more departmental support in the workplace. They felt they had to wear multiple hats at a tribal college where they worked. The workload and expectations were high. Very few expressed not feeling that they were taken seriously because of their identities as Native women. And this led to many of the women wanting to give up and quit at times, feeling undervalued and wanting to make more money. Recommending other Native women to connect with other Natives to feel understood. So this was a recommendation that a lot of the women made. So when they were students, they shared a need to connect with other Natives. Therefore, this experience led the women to being more compassionate towards their own students, and connecting with people in the workplace who were also Native made transitions to their careers much easier because they understood their culture and their background. Need for mentoring. So all the women in some way or another had experienced being afraid to ask for help in their educational journey to becoming faculty, or expressing a need for mentoring as well. This fear was related to being a Native woman in an industry that does not have many Natives working in faculty positions, a majority of the women. So because of this phenomenon, they emphasize that Native women need to overcome any fears when it comes to doubting themselves entering and pursuing the field of higher education. The women all overcame this fear, embracing who they are as Native women after feeling silenced by the education system. Native culture integration. So based on some of these major emerging themes, I recommend integrating policy that Native culture integration be implemented into the curriculum in school, because culturally responsive curriculum incorporates and legitimizes students' culture and linguistic identities, knowledge, prior experiences, and ways of learning. Culturally responsive instruction considers students' cultural backgrounds as strengths, actively engages students in ways that reflect their cultural ways of interacting and learning, and sets high expectations for student achievement. Working collaboratively towards racial bias solutions. So gathering a committee of Native and non-Native individuals to set a shared intention of democracy, addressing state policies currently in place and reaching a shared consensus will elicit positive change and will help to meet the current needs of all students within the state of North Dakota where this study was conducted. Need for mentoring. So the data from this study indicated that the women all expressed a need for mentoring in their workplace and in school. It's essential. It's an essential need to connect with a group of people, that support you in your career, your culture, and your educational endeavors. Reaching out to coworkers and administrations or administrators where you work and ask for opportunities to connect, such as trainings, workshops, social gatherings. So again, school-based policy recommendations based on the study results. What the women said alluded kind of to this as a solution. And then faculty ethnicity. So this discussion should elicit thoughts on the benefits of hiring and recruiting more Native women into the school system. Hiring Native women should be a priority for Native students serving educational institutions in North Dakota. And all of the faculty participants encouraged other Native women students to pursue careers in higher education and return and teach at the same tribal colleges where they're currently attending.
Oh, hey, Gabriella, one
Yeah.
question too with the mentoring, and sorry, and that is, in terms of the need for mentoring, was it where the desire to be mentored by other Native American women or mentored in general? If you could elaborate, was there that level of detail about the mentoring?
I
Just
think, yeah, we didn't get too far in depth. But it was more alluded towards more Native women mentoring other Native women,
okay.
because of the shared experiences, having understanding of the shared culture, and just feeling comfortable, to, you know, um, to be able to share how you're feeling, what you're trying to adjust to, but we didn't get into more specifics other than just that.
Okay.
Um,
And I just want to remind others too, I'm checking to see if there are hands raised.
I
So,
know, and you know what? I'm so, I haven't presented this in quite some time. So if I'm going too fast, just feel free to jump in, um,
okay,
and stop me. I kind of get into my groove of things, but are there any questions so far on anything?
right. And I can let you know if I see a hand raised,
Okay.
or if people want to unmute. But because I know when you're presenting, you can't always see.
I
Um,
can't, I know.
I
Um,
know. So yes,
mhm.
I'll keep track of hands being raised. So
Oh, good.
okay,
Okay, let me see. So, okay, so I think I covered this.
right.
Okay, so utilizing internal drive to help students. So the study indicated that there is a need to focus on what inspires Native educators to teach at the collegiate level. So seeing Native students from within their communities succeed drove all these women to succeed in their careers, and they knew early on that this inspiration would help them accomplish anything as educators. A majority of the women in the study had this emerging theme. Increasing student support. So knowing that family support was a factor in the success of the women's journeys, a majority of them, to becoming faculty, it's essential to have institution level support based on the responses and experiences of the participants in this study. So providing financial resources, access to mental health, counseling, housing, dorms, all the situations were slightly different in various different ways. Some of the women didn't need as much support as others. But one of the common themes was, not wanting to ask, or, being shy, or whatever the case may be, just not asking for specific resources. So I think it was very important, um, based on those findings, to make a recommendation or an implication for practice that it's essential for institutions to really be clear on the resources that are available to everybody. And then teachers and administrators should take the time to get to know their students and learn about their support systems if they have any, because they were so important in the study. It's important to really get to know students and understand if they do have those support system. If they don't, that institution might be their only support. Um, and then teachers and administrators have the ability to create a culturally responsive and family inclusive environment within their schools. Increasing student support. So tribal colleges are much smaller than state colleges and universities, which gives them the ability to bond with students and lead them to resources that best fit their needs, such as emotional support, counseling, childcare, financial aid, transfer programs, tutoring, homeless shelters, housing, anything that will best fit the needs of that particular student. And the participants in the study indicated that they wear multiple hats and help connect students to their resources because they work at such a small institution. It's easier to build those relationships with students. I know, attending larger universities and working at a smaller tribal college, when you work at a smaller college, it's much easier for you to build relationships with your students and understand needs and connect them to resources. Whereas if you're at a larger institution, there might be a classroom of 300 or 400 students, and it's not as easy to make those connections and make the connect students to the resources that they need.
Yes, so there's a question from Judith Gibb, and
Yes.
Judith asked, did any of the participants indicate a need for graduate assistantships as a pathway to faculty positions?
We didn't go that in depth. We didn't go as in depth to that. No, it was very, in general, when conducting this research study, it's a very intimate setting. You're sitting down, and it's at times vulnerable. I mean, some of the questions just based on experiences. So there's only, I think for this study, I just didn't go as I didn't elaborate on those specific things.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Judith.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry I didn't, but I'm gonna, at the very end, I do encourage people to replicate the study or similar studies, because I found that, it, it it draws a greater picture of a greater a critical issue in education. So recommendations for future research. Collaboration between tribal colleges investigating the current strategies adopted to increase the percentage of faculty who are Native American women. I recommend that further research be conducted on collaboration between tribal colleges investigating the current strategies adopted to increase the percentage of faculty who are Native American women. This may prove to be beneficial in the state of North Dakota and in other states facing the same issue of underrepresentation. Replicating the study, I'd also recommend with K through 12 teachers. This was just at the collegiate level. So focusing on, or K through 12 students, college faculty, college students attending both on and off reservation schools who identify as Native American women at all levels in K through 12. And post-secondary schools may provide further insight into this issue and the discussion amongst all parties involved in this phenomenon. It's essential to decrease this educational gap and increase the percentage of women working at tribal colleges. And then increasing the number of Native participants in the study as well, potentially including Native American men working at tribal colleges in North Dakota, expanding to other states. This would require other states to investigate if Native women working as faculty are also underrepresented in tribal colleges in those states, as well as determining if this is also an issue with Native American men. I would recommend replicating the study with Native women that have also potentially dropped out of school, who wanted to become faculty at tribal colleges, investigating if there were any opportunities or gaps. It may provide insight into, again, there's a typo there, opportunities or barriers that they may have faced that may have led them to ending their pursuit in education. That way we can come up with strategies to prevent that from happening in the future. Okay, so this study is significant because it helps understand why to some extent, why there's such few Native women working as faculty in North Dakota and the implications and suggestions and ways in which we can address this issue. So I would love to open it up to anybody that has any questions, discussions. And if I may have gone, I tried keeping this under an hour and I'm only at 30 minutes. So I'm way below my time, but I would love to answer any questions. This is near and dear to my heart.
Okay. I have several questions, but I want to give others an opportunity. Because you in terms of your recommendations of having tribal colleges work together, and are you finding that the tribal colleges in North Dakota are open to, having some collaborations in this area and doing more, or just was wondering?
This is actually the second time I present about this topic, because I did for over a year, I wanted to protect the identities of my participants, even though all the names are changed. And so this is kind of something new that I'm just beginning to share. And so, from those individuals that I've worked with, everybody's very open to solutions. So that has not been an issue.
Okay. And then I guess a follow-up question too, are you finding that you're going to present the results of your study to the upper administration at the tribal colleges? Like, for example, at Sitting Bull, are they open to it, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, it's word is out, and I do talk about it kind of informally all the time. Like, did you all know that this is, that this is how many instructors we have here, and we need to focus on this. So it's definitely a topic that is discussed. And everyone's always like, absolutely, like, we need solutions. We need solutions in education. So it's definitely a topic that is discussed quite often.
Yes. Okay. And then, what, oh, let me just first check to see if there are other questions that others may have. Okay. And
I
Paul?
think Paul has a question.
Yeah. I was curious if you looked at whether there are similarities and differences with other intersectional groups at other types of institution, or if other people have studied that at all?
No, so at the time when I conducted my research, there was a lot of research on like Native student enrollment. There was research on Native women as leaders, but there was nothing really specific and geared to Native women and there being a shortage of Native women working at tribal college institutions. There was nothing related to that at the time, and that would have been around 2.5, 3, going on 3 years when all that research was conducted. Yeah, but it was mainly focused on Native students and retention, enrollment, and Native women as leaders.
And Paul, can I ask, are you asking about also if there are similar studies about possibly Black women faculty at HBCUs?
Yeah, that was part of what I was getting at is,
Yeah,
are there similarities in the
yes,
experiences of
there were.
Black women at HBCUs
Yep,
versus Native women at tribal colleges? Or are there
there wasn't.
differences in those experiences?
I could not, there was no studies on any differences. There was nothing on Native faculty, but there were studies on other minority faculty and the benefits of having minority faculty working at institutions or working from the communities that they serve, working and serving those communities. So there was information on that. I just could not find anything on Native women faculty.
Okay. And then Judith had another question, and that is, are there specific areas of study where you see Native American women faculty?
Yes, so there was a study that there were most of the Native faculty were in this study were students that had encountered Native faculty were teaching Native American related courses. So that was kind of something that was found, but other than that, no.
Okay. So it's not where there were some faculty maybe looking at faculty in the sciences or women faculty in the law or in
There,
those areas.
yeah, there were other studies on like Native or like women that are in faculty positions and like women versus men in faculty positions, and if there was a correlation and things along that within that, yes, there were studies on that, but nothing unique to experiences in Native women specifically.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. And let's see, other questions that you may have? And that is, are you considering replicating your study, let's say in other states where you have tribal colleges as well?
I've thought about that. I've definitely thought about that. That's definitely something that I would consider doing in the future. I am curious to know if this is an issue in other, and just talking about it, I know that, there are other tribal colleges that in conversations I've had where I don't have the exact statistics, but they're like, there could be more Native women working here. I just don't have I don't have the actual research and facts. I'd have to conduct a study on that. So it's definitely something I've thought about in the future, maybe something I'd love to see more individuals researching this topic.
Okay. And then you also brought up the size of institutions. The tribal colleges are much smaller. So just wondering, what is the student population at Sitting Bull?
At Sitting Bull, I want to say right now we must be around 300 students.
Okay.
Very small compared to larger universities and larger. I mean, it's a big difference.
Right. But like you said, it's you have more intimate classrooms and the interactions. And let's see, and Judith has another question too. So and that is, oh, so Judith noted, she said, I appreciate your research and findings. Do you know if AHEC, the American Indian Higher Education Consortium, has data on Native women faculty at tribal colleges and universities?
When I did the research at the time, no. No, but I don't know if they do now or if there's something that they have that would be interesting to find out.
Yes. Okay, that would be interesting. And then, I guess one question too, have you shared your results too with AHEC? Because that would probably be a good organization. As Judith mentioned, AHEC, it made me think they probably would also be interested in your.
Yeah, I sent it over to one of the AHEC representatives, and I shared I'd be happy to share my research results. So in the near future, if they'd like me to share, I'd absolutely be happy to do that.
Good. Okay. And let's see. And Dr. Valerie Nelson.
Good afternoon. I am so sorry that I came in late because of another meeting, but I really wanted to hear your presentation. So I have first question is, are these slides available for me to look at? Because I'm really interested in the topic, and I'm glad that you are looking at that.
Absolutely. I can send them over to you.
Okay.
I can share them with, there's two Valeries.
Yes, I'm Valerie Nelson. You can share them with Valerie Taylor and I can get them from her.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. But because I didn't hear everything, I apologize if I'm bringing up something that you might have already mentioned. But, and I don't know if I have more of a question than more of some ideas. So I know that part of the problem, we definitely need more Native American women, Native Americans, period, right, out there in the schools, just in the workforce, everywhere where they can serve as role models and they can make an impact on helping people appreciate the contributions that Native Americans can make. But sometimes the problem is, or a problem is, that we don't have enough of those people in those positions, and we may not have enough people going into the positions as well, right? And so have you looked at, or do you know of any efforts or initiatives that are trying to motivate people to go into these particular fields, and so that we have more of a presence, right? So, for example, if you know that there is underrepresentation, there might be some type of fellowship program to send people to school, like a scholarship type of thing, where they will be trained, and the goal is to get them into these positions, right? So I don't know if you mentioned anything about that, but it was just something that I had thought about, right? And I would love to explore.
Absolutely.
I am part Native American. I don't know much about my history, right? That's something my family would love, because our full-blooded natives grandparents are not here with us, and a lot of that information was not passed on. But but I would still love to contribute and help other people, right? So but are there initiatives that are set up, and if not, what can we do to get those initiatives started to deliberately get people into like higher education, for example?
Absolutely. So this was for my own dissertation, and at the college I am a cybersecurity instructor and I'm a CU coordinator. And as far as like, we have other organizations that reach out to work directly with our students, so they have internships and they have opportunities. And for students that don't want to move, we're so lucky we have really great partners that are always wanting our students to go and work for their companies. So as far as like companies go, yes. And there's a lot of different opportunities. I can't say that there's one specific one, just because there's always something going on. I know that there's always opportunities through AHEC and ACES. And so different little things, like I know we have those, and we have really good partners, but that's kind of the extent of it. If there's more, I think there could always be more. There's clearly more that we can be doing. So, but I know that we do have a lot of partners that do care. Is there anything unique to, Native Native women going into higher education? Based on the research I did at the time, I couldn't find anything kind of focused just on that. I'm sure that there has to be more out there, but that's kind of the extent of what I know.
And there might not be a lot out there. That's the thing.
Right.
Maybe we need to jump start it and get it started. So I'm thinking of a program that I was in when I went to grad school called AGEP, Alliance for Graduate Education and the Professoriate. And I thought that everybody was STEM when I was in it, but that wasn't the case. And the goal was to get more minorities into leadership positions in academia. I think where I was, they were focused on STEM, but AGAP in general was not just STEM. but something like that where we were still in grad school, but we had additional training we had to do, like, we had to take some classes to understand like educational leadership, and we actually had to work in a administrative position, like helping to support a program that the campus ran. We had to do an extra year of research, things like that. But something, it might be great to, not that I'm putting it on you, but just bringing it out there for people who are listening. There's something that maybe, people can get together to maybe start something like that, because I think that's what we need, right?
Absolutely.
We need to give people a reason to go to school and say, hey, there's this program you can get into because we need more of us in these positions, and this will help prepare you for that. And that might motivate people to go in there with the intention of going into higher ed, But anyway, just thought I wanted to throw that out there. But thank you so much, and I will get your slides.
Thank you for sharing that. I really that is so great. Absolutely, I will be in contact with you. I'll share my slides with you, and I'd love to talk to you more about what you just shared.
Yeah.
Okay. And also, we have the video is being recorded, so we'll place the video online soon as well,
Oh,
Valerie.
awesome. That would be great. Thank you.
Yes. I'm happy to connect the two of you as well via email.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yes. Other questions? Great questions and great discussion. I'm just trying to check my scroll here and see if there are other questions. Hey. Oh, okay. This is much easier.
There we go. Okay.
Just to see if there are other questions, because I wanted to mention too, Valerie Nelson, as you were talking about, jump starting some things, it made me think about, with the Tapia conference, this may be a good panel to have, at Tapia, in which case to propose a panel in this area about Native American women faculty at tribal colleges. And that may spur also additional discussion, around the results from your study, but also possibly replicating the study in other areas. So
I would love to
That's
be a
an
part of that
excellent
panel.
idea. Yes, and the CFP is open right now. So it would be great if you could put a proposal in, and this could be the basis of your talk. That would be great.
Absolutely. And Valerie, this is Makiva. I was thinking the same thing as well, because I was going to wait to the end because I was going to put in a couple plugs for the Tapia conference in terms of talks like this, as well as ways that we can, or strategies that you possibly can help us with, Gabriella, to increase our attendance of Native Americans, because Native Americans is one of the our target communities for Commanded as a whole. And we have less than, if the number may escape me, but I know for sure less than 3% that attend the Tapia conference each year. And so that's an area, or that is a community we're looking to expand. And so I think I may have sent you a communication in the past, or a couple other people in Sitting Bull, or some representatives that were affiliated, but I'll follow up again because this is definitely an interesting topic. And then, as I mentioned, ways that you can possibly help us, increase our engagement within this community. So thank you.
Absolutely. I will put my email in the chat. So if anybody would like to contact me directly, I can put that in there.
Oh, good. That's great. Okay. And let's see, other items for discussion? Had a great discussion, and thank you so much, Gabriella, for the presentation on your study and the results from the study, as well as the recommendations.
Thank you. I haven't presented this in quite some time, And for some reason, I thought it was going to take me way longer. So if I went too fast, I apologize. And I'd be happy to email. Just go ahead and send me an email and I can send you the slides. I'm always so worried I'm going to miss something or I'm going to go too far and take up too much time. So I appreciate everybody being here, and I'm very happy to share kind of my findings and my research. And it's just such an important topic, and I would love to be a part of a panel and more. So please email me.
Okay, we will. And this was, the timing was great. It gave us time to have a good discussion, so it's all good. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes. And so with that, I want to tell everyone thank you very much. But let me do my last scan to see if there are questions. So with that, we'll get back, 10 minutes to your day, and to say thank you very much for participating in our February Community Select webinar. So very much appreciate your attendance, and thank you so much, Gabriella, for your presentation and great discussion on an important topic of Native American women faculty at tribal colleges in North Dakota. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Have a great week. I'm very happy to share. So thank you for being here.
Yes.
You as well. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.